It's Tatami. Welcome to my channel where I talk about whatever I want to. And today I thought we would have a fun conversation about one of my favorite topics, which is animation, children's animation. And we're going to be talking about it from a different perspective. This is going to be from the perspective of a parent who is raised on like Disney and all of those animated movies. I had a huge VHS. I shouldn't say my family had a huge VHS collection growing up. So give or take a few of the movies. I had kind of my pick of the Disney movie lexicon growing up. But even still, as I'm older, I regret a lot of the content that I consumed because it didn't validate me personally in many ways. And so when I make the collection for my own children, which is obviously not going to be VHS, it's probably mostly going to be digital and DVD. And I've been trying to avoid DVDs, but at the same time, it feels good to have it in your hand as opposed to just trusting a company is always going to make sure that your DVD is available to you. So my collection is half and half right now. I'm like stuck in the middle. Anyways, my hope is to build a collection that isn't just totally African, but also it's eclectic, it shows a bunch of different types of people, and it shows that, a bunch of different types of stories, and sometimes those stories may focus on people's race, and sometimes I really hope that there is going to be more of shows that do not focus necessarily on someone's race, that they just are inside of the story, which I think is so important. They say that there's only like 3 or 4, some really small number of Black children's books that are not about the child being Black or about some kind of Black history, but it's just like a book and the child happens to be Black. So with this criteria in mind, let's just jump into it. My first suggestion for parents is Kirikou. Now, I always loved this movie since the first day I saw it. It's got such simple animation, but it still works. It still captivates little kids. My kids have been watching it, or, enjoying it, should I say, since they were like 2. I think I put it on the first time just to see what their reaction was, and they absolutely were interested in it. So Kirikou is the story of a child who's born with abilities that usually we attribute with older people. He can walk, he can talk, he can think, he can help. And so he does. His family is being kind of accosted by a local sorceress. And so he has to kind of help the sorceress. He has to help his family. He has to deal with some familial lore and overcome some trials and tribulations, and it's really an amazing animated story. So first off the bat, always Kirikou, which you can get in English dub, but it's originally in French, and my kids have actually watched the French versions. I believe I have Kirikou 2 in French and the first one in English, and I have the first one in French too, but at any rate, my kids love it. I love it. If you want a Black African animation in your home, I absolutely recommend Kirikou. So my second one, let's check my list. Kubo. Kubo was the first movie I bought for my kids when they were like 2 months old. I saw the movie and I just knew it had to be in my collection. So Kubo is not African. It is, I think, Japanese. It's Asian. This young man has, I think it's stop motion too, which is, if you know me, my favorite form of animation by far, hands down. I love me some Coraline. I even love movies that look like they're stop motion but aren't really. And that was my daughter. Okay, so Kubo I went and got because it had this powerful storyline. It was beautifully animated. It was powerful. I mean, the stories of this young boy who's trying to, help his mother's, and his father. It's his whole history, his whole past, and he doesn't completely understand it. He doesn't completely understand why his family has fallen apart. He doesn't understand the magic and the supernatural that's a part of all this, but he kind of wants to, and so he ends up going on this whole journey, reclaiming all of this with his mother, with his ancestors, some of whom are good and some of whom are not, and it's a wild journey. I highly recommend Kubo. especially for people of color looking for a decent movie just in their home of somebody just living their daily life and culture with the, you know, supernatural and everything. Kubo is like 10 out of 10, 9 out of 10 maybe, if I was to like try and be critical. It's a really good movie. So we have Kirikou, we have Kubo. Next is Pachamama. I loved Pachamama, and even that is even despite the fact that colonizers were in it. So I'm taking you from Africa to Japan, all the way to South America, where Pachamama takes place. Pachamama is the story of this young boy coming into himself, and he's kind of a little bit of a liar. He kind of doesn't want to do the work. He's very young though, so you're not mad at him. He's like 8, 9, 10. He's not old enough for you to be like upset that he's not taking this seriously or he's trying to cut corners. There are a lot of beautiful layers to the story, but long story short is you see the hierarchy, right? You see the issues of this is a small village. They have to pay tribute to this larger organization who then is now finding they have to kind of pay tribute to the conquistadors or else they're getting totally fucked up. And the conquistadors, this isn't about honor. This isn't about morals. This is about money. And so I didn't like it at first. The first time I saw it, I was like, of course there's conquistadors. Of course I couldn't have just this indigenous movie about this kid coming to terms with his spirituality and his medicine man in the goddamn South America. Of course I couldn't have that. But y'all, the way it comes full circle in the end, it just warms your heart as an indigenous person trying to reclaim. In today's day and age, you still find yourself fighting against the colonizer. So I feel like it went full circle. Now, when I looked up Pachamama, y'all, there were not too many good reviews. I didn't get into it very much, so I'm not sure if it was like people who actually praise and work with Pachamama, if they were mad about it, disgusted about it, or if it was like, you know, people who just didn't get the story. So I'm not sure who didn't like Pachamama, but I absolutely recommend it to parents of color looking to fill out their filmography, or even non-parents of color who are looking to have an eclectic film collection, which I think is so important. I don't understand why parents don't try harder to do it. But anyways, that's what this video is here for, is just so in case you're like, I don't even know where to start. Here's how to start. Here's some examples of good ones. So Pachamama, my next one on my list. Everything I wish that the princess and the frog had been. Moana is so good. Y'all, the first 2+ years that I watched this movie, and my kids watched this movie almost every day. When it was on Netflix, they watched it every day, and then they not cried, but you know, they were like vastly disappointed with anything else I put on after it went off Netflix. So I ended up purchasing them a copy for their birthday the next year. Every time she hits that drum 3 times, y'all, and calls her ancestors, I had tears. To this day, it will like take over me. I'm just like, yes to everything. If only they had put in half the effort that they put into Moana and Coco, and half the respect into the Princess and the Frog. Why they knocked the magic out of our princess? Why is our medicine man just the most evil, crazy, devil-inclined person, but with hints of African traditional religion? So it's like, no, this isn't Christianity. This is African religions. Oh gosh, if only they had tried with our princess. They didn't. That's why Moana's on my list. That's why Coco, we'll put that one in with it because that one's also on my list. That's why those 2 are on my list. And the Princess and the Frog isn't. Do I own Princess and the Frog? Yes, because I want my kids to have movies with Black folks in it. I like that they had jazz in it. I do think that Mama Odie kind of gives some hope and love to African traditional religion, but she don't make up for shit, because the way that the movie ends with the Shadow Man being grabbed by his spirit guides and dragged into the cemetery is, whose religion is this? What research? Who got up with this? What asshole just put up every stereotype they could think of, and that was the Princess and the Frog. So that's why Moana is my shit. It's respectful to the ancestors. It's respectful to the journey. It respects the spirituality and enhances it. It's got nature veneration. She's in tune with nature. She's in tune with the world around her. It's all respectful. Nature has a spirit. It's beautiful. Tafiti is just amazing to witness. And that is why Moana's on the list. Coco's on the list, even though I don't like that they did the whole... I can never get 15 minutes alone in this house, I swear it. Anyways, have you noticed I'm standing up today? It's because I fit into one of my favorite summer dresses of all times. This one I got from yourswag.com, but I had to wait because when she first uploaded it, it was $100 and I couldn't afford that. So I had to really wait. And then all of a sudden one day, like the ancestors whispered in my ear, like, go check this dress, this exact dress. So I went and checked it. It was 50% off. Oh no, it was more than 50% off because I know I only spent like, I want to say like $36. It was like 70% off. It was some kind of crazy percent off. And then it was like, I also had something from the last time I'd bought from there. So I managed to get it like down a whole bunch and it was exactly in my size. And then after I bought it, I went and checked and the thing was sold out. I literally got the last size in my size, kind of. And I say that kind of because I don't fit in this dress in the winter. But thankfully, come summer, my body starts to even out when I'm not sick, when everything's in the stars are aligned. I can fit in this dress. I can zip it up in the back. So here I go. I hope I'm not embarrassing myself by showing the back because only sometimes it zips up. But this is my fancy dress. This is one of my favorites. I need like a petticoat or something to make it out a little bigger. I wish I could wear big dresses all the time, but people out here charging what they deserve and I can't afford it. Anyways, that's why I was wearing this dress today. So, or should I say that's why I'm standing up today. Just to show off my favorite dress. So my next installment in this, I think I kind of brushed over Coco, but everybody loves Coco. I don't like that it's got the whole, because it's like, guys, if when they run across, they can't get across, why do you have Border Patrol? You don't need Border Patrol because no one can get, oh my goodness, a hummingbird outside my window, blessings. The only reason you'd need border security is if people could get past the border without you wanting them to. But since no one in Coco can get past the border, why is there border security? I don't know. I don't like it, but it's better than what they gave me with the Princess and the Frog, so I'll take it. And the end of Coco fucking makes me cry, so you know what? They get it. They get those points. I don't care. All right, next. Doc McStuffins. My husband does not like Doc McStuffins, mostly because he feels like her diagnoses are a little bit bunk. I love Doc McStuffins because it's not got anything to do with her being black. It's just a little black girl who wants to be a doctor. That's it. Her friends want her to be a doctor. Her stuffed toys want her to be a doctor. Everybody, she's based on a black woman who really wanted to be a doctor and became a doctor. I have nothing wrong with Doc McStuffins. I don't care if she gives a bad diagnosis from here till 2075. Bless Doc McStuffins. Bless her show. I love it. I love it. I will always ride or die for it. Doc McStuffins. I'm one of your fans, okay? I love it. I will always put on that shit for my kids because it's just about a child. It's not about anything else. All right, so my absolute favorite, my alpha and omega. I could rewatch this movie over and over. It has absolutely made me cry. It's not even like my usual kind of movie that I would usually watch. But y'all, Spider-Man Into the Spiderverse with Miles Morales was one of the best movies I think I've ever watched with a young person of color in the lead in that movie. It's it's beyond. It's like, it's beyond the fact that whoever wrote the movie, whoever was a part of making this movie, was clearly a comic book fan. It's beyond the fact that this person was clearly a fan of, like, the Spider-Man series, okay? I'm somebody who's a fan of several comic book superhero series. Namely, Green Lantern is kind of my big one, but I also have a shit ton of love for The Flash and his story, although I have a bit of cynicism around it. But we can continue. I have a love for it. I also have a love for, you know, Young Justice, for a few other, like, ones for Teen Titans, a few other ones. So, like, I can tell when people love a comic book series. Whoever made Into the Spiderverse loved Spider-Man. Somebody in there loved it and fought for it. And you can feel it. And then it's like you can also feel a love for hip-hop. It wasn't overdone. It wasn't embarrassing. It wasn't cringeworthy. You didn't find yourself hating his uncle. You didn't find yourself hating Miles. You didn't find yourself cringing hard when a hip-hop song came on. In fact, it was the opposite. You found yourself loving his uncle. You found yourself immersed in Miles' world. It's like, what's up, danger? And you're like, yes, bitch, yes, what's up? Y'all, if you don't have Into the Spider-Verse, I don't care how you feel about, like, violence, superheroes. And I say that because my VHS collection growing up was missing a huge chunk of animated history because my adoptive mother believed that certain films, you know, basically if it was Disney, it was right. And if it was other people, you had to take it with a grain of salt because they might be showing your kids something that you don't want them to see. However, newsflash, Disney showed me a lot of shit that I would not want my children to see. Or at least I'd want them to be able to mitigate it with other content, which I was not able to do in that household, mostly because of my, you know, adoptive mother's stereotypes, prejudices, misunderstanding, blind trust of certain communities. She was a boomer, y'all. She's a boomer. So, you know, it's like you can be mad at certain things, but it's like they gained these brand trust recognition type, you know, instincts for good reason. So it's like I don't want to be mad at her, even though it was very obvious to me as a kid that she was being unfair. And then as an adult now, I'm just like, she could have done a little better if she had put in half an ounce of effort and stopped assuming. However, that's my job with my kids, is to put in that half an ounce of effort. And that is why I'm here helping you out. If you are like, I don't know what movie, maybe you have a niece or nephew, maybe you just know a child of color and you're just eager to give them a movie. Maybe you know a child who is not a child of color, but you want to give them a movie, but you don't want to just give them yet another movie that affirms their part of life. You want to help expand it because you love this child. Please get them one of these other movies that centers another race and is done well and pretty respectfully overall by most people's standards. I think I'm the only one who has those specific qualms with Coco because I don't see other people question the border patrol of Coco like I do mentally. Anyway, thank you for watching. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for listening to my shit about my dress. I hope you liked the dress and the talk about cartoons because I love both. And yeah, we'll probably talk cartoons a lot more in movies because I have a bunch of movies to review from an adoptee / transracial adoptee perspective, starting with either Onward or Stuart Little. I haven't decided yet. We will see. May your ancestors and spirit guides be with you at every crossroads. Have a wonderful day. See you next time.